Good morning, Friday morning, and we are on lesson number 6 in language. Today we're going to talk more about poetry, but before we get there, we're going to review rhythm. Rhythm it's like the special movement or flow of a poem. So today I'm going to read 2 different poems, and I want you to listen to the rhythm of the poems, just how the special movement and flow of each poem is different. We're also going to review antonyms. Antonyms are opposite. Remember, antonyms are words that have opposite meanings. They're different. So the opposite of cold is hot. That's the antonym. So cold, antonym, hot. Slow, antonym is fast. White, the antonym is black. Or light, antonym is dark, right? So we also have synonyms. Synonyms are the same. They're very similar. They have the same meaning. So speedy, fast. Speed, fast, very similar, same kind of meaning. To think of some more. Cold, frozen. They're both synonyms, they're very similar, same meaning. All right, so go to page 20, 20, and the top box in the orange is going to talk about poets. A poet is somebody who writes poetry, who writes any little piece of poetry. They're a poet. So a poet's name, we've talked about this before, is at the end of the poetry. So you read through the poem, and there is a poet's name that we normally try to say as we remember who wrote it. So poets write about all kinds of things that they see in creation, in nature, what they think. They write about big things, little things. So poets make poems, right? And I know some of you guys are poems because you have given me some of your poems, and we have written some in class. So I know a lot of you guys are poets, which is really fun. When a poet writes a poem, the poem belongs to him. It's his poem, and when he gives it to somebody, he still keeps his name on it, because he wrote it, right? So the poems in our books, the people who made our books, they often had to pay people to let them write their poem, because the person who writes the poem, the poet, he owns it. So he can sell it to people and they can use it or just give it to them. But the person who writes the poem owns the poem, okay? So I'm going to read 2 poems. The first one is called Twinkle Feet, and I want you to listen for the author at the end and what the poem's about and kind of hear the rhythm through the poem, okay? So the first one is called Twinkle Feet. Mama calls me Twinkle Feet. I can go so fast and fleet, on her errands here and there, up and down and everywhere. If she loses spool or thimble, I can run so quick and nimble. No one ever needs to look for a pin or ball or book, for she says my feet should run just as fast for work as fun. So she calls me Twinkle Feet. Don't you think it's nice and sweet? By Anna Burnham Bryant. And the second poem is called The Swing. How do you like to go up in a swing, up in the air so blue? Oh, I do think it the pleasantest thing ever a child can do. Up in the air and over the wall, till I can see so wide, rivers and trees and cattle and all, over the countryside. Till I look down on the garden green, down on the roof so brown, up in the air I go flying again, up in the air and down. By Robert Louis Stevenson. All right, so those are 2 poems with different rhythms. You can go back and listen to the different rhythms, hear the authors' names. These authors wrote these poems, they own them, and they are poets. They created these poems. All right, so have a good lesson. I think you should be able to get this one, and have a good weekend.